I love you guys. Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Matt, Michael, and I are here for another special occasion, our second Survivor interview with two-time Survivor legend from Australian Survivor, Brains vs. Brawn and Heroes vs. Villains. Simon Mee is here. Hey Simon, welcome to the Tribe of Nerds.
Hey, how are we?
Good.
That's good. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you on. So to kick it off, Simon, when did you start watching Survivor and how did you get on the show the first time?
Oh man. Look, I started watching. I remember watching like as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid. I used to air on like a Saturday night, I'm pretty sure, like back in Australia, and always like when you're watching that one growing up. Distinctly, I think I remember like must have been around season 15 or something like that with like Yule and Aussie. Was it I can't remember, was it Pearl Islands or something there? Something like that, but like just like one of the like I just remember seeing Aussie and being like, wow, like I could really like I would love to do that. And then growing up, I remember watching like when Boston Rob proposed to Amber, like after that whole saga. Like I remember seeing that and being like, man, okay, like if I want to get a girlfriend, like I've got to go on Survivor. Like that's gonna be my thing. And then I kind of drifted away from it a little bit. And then when Australian Survivor kicked off, like my passion like really reignited again. And yeah, I applied for season two, I think. Like I didn't realize season one was coming. And then I used to work in marketing and advertising, and I sat next to Lee Castledine at an industry breakfast, a Channel 10 breakfast, and he inspired me to apply. And so I applied for season two, season three, and heard nothing. And then I I actually got approached. They reached out to me for season six for Brains versus Brawn out of the blue. So I don't think that had anything to do with my recent application or my previous application, but like I I was like when I told them like I've actually applied before, that was like, oh, okay, great. And then realized that I was, hugely passionate about the show, and, watched every season, and, had just come off the back of watching All Stars, which was incredible. So yeah, that was pretty cool to actually have a crack at it from there.
Yeah, that's amazing. You just get like by chance you get back on or get on the show. It's really awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah.
So the majority of our interview is going to be about your time on Heroes versus Villains, but we need to touch briefly on Brains versus Brawn. The theme of kind of highs and lows for you as a player in the game was quite fitting, going from the high of finding two idols to the low of leaving with them. How did you feel coming out of your first game?
I felt like I had unfinished business. I felt like it was, there was the story hadn't come to an end yet, and it was a game that I was surrounded by, for a lot of people, a lot of personalities that hadn't really watched the show, didn't really know what was going on. So I took the opportunities there to actually get involved and to play the game, and I guess I felt like I had a bit of a leg up on other people who had no idea and were kind of learning on the fly. But there was only a small handful of us who actually really knew what was going on, and so I kind of used that to my advantage. And then I got stitched up there. But I think the best thing that happened to me was leaving with two idols, because it became the origin story for Heroes versus Villains and my return there. So as much as I was devastated that I didn't make jury, and I was so close. I didn't make merge, didn't make jury in that first season. I was just really lucky that I got another crack at it, and I didn't have to wait years and years and years. So, it's pretty special to be a pre-merger and to still leave enough of a mark on the game to be asked back again. So, I was doing something right.
Well, going off of that, did you feel any pressure being asked back for heroes versus villains, or was it like all positive thinking because you could only do better?
No, this was, I was so nervous. Like I put so much pressure on myself. Like I was so determined to go deep, like to just make it into the jury. Like I didn't want to be a double pre-merger. Um, so I remember speaking to like the PR, the lady, when we were in isolation before the game started, just about like, how much I wanted this and how much I really want to be back here in jury, and be here at the end of the game, and just how much pressure I was putting on myself then, because yeah, look, these opportunities don't. These are once in a lifetime opportunity, and for it to happen twice to me, like man, I was not going to waste that, but I also wasn't going to just, let it slip through my fingers. So I was going to go down swinging, and then like I was always going to get involved. Like I couldn't just play a passive game and you know and take the easy ride through. Like I was going to do it my way, and I was going to do what I felt. I was going to take my own destiny into my own hands, and make it happen.
Absolutely. So when you were asked back for heroes versus villains, but then you were cut and re-added as a villain at the
Yeah.
last moment, what was that roller coaster of emotions like?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. Like, to go on, or to go through the recasting process to get so close, and to get cut, and then to go back on, with a week to go. Like I pretty much had to, like after all the prep that I'd kind of done, I just kind of had to walk away, and I had to walk away from everything because I'm like, okay, I can't, like I love this game so much, but then it's broken my heart, and I'm to be so close to getting another rerun. It was just, like my whole world like felt like it was crumbling around me. It was really hard, so I just had to put so much space between myself and anything Survivor related, as I kind of came to terms with the fact that this wasn't going to be my time. And you don't know if that call's ever going to come again. And then like yeah, my world changed 8 days out when I got that call to be like, hey, we want you on. Yeah, we want you to be a villain. And it's like, wow, okay, I can do this. I can make this happen. But yeah, it was kind of good because it meant that I didn't have, months and months and months of stewing over it and, thinking about it and overthinking about it. So I kind of came in relatively fresh because, it was just more of you almost don't have have time to get your head back in the game. It's just more like, logistical issues trying to like quit work, get your life sorted to then disappear for 8 weeks at a time. So yeah, that was that was kind of harder, but it took a lot of the thinking out of it for me, I guess.
For sure, for sure.
So coming into the game, we heard that the returning players had a bit of a no aggression pact with each other. You were obviously kind of gunning for George in the edit heavily. How did that come into play when you went to your first tribal council, especially not knowing the status of George and Jackie at that point?
We were All the returnees were very nervous about it. Like coming in, like you can all kind of tell in the whispers that we were able to kind of have and landing on the beach. Like there was definitely like we like, I really thought that one of the sub themes of the season was going to be returnees versus newbies, especially when it was like almost cut down the middle. Um, but then it became very, very apparent that the newbies had no idea what they were in for. They weren't corralling together. There was nothing moving there. And then, like, well, we wanted like George probably wouldn't have gone first, but it would have been like, if he was there because it wouldn't have made sense in the numbers side of things. But like it like once we kind of realized where we were sitting and just how much kind of pull we had as the returnees with our attachments to all the little groups, it very quickly just just dispersed any threat of the newbies all kind of coming together. So it's like this is actually no longer a threat or an issue. And that whole thing just kind of fell to the wayside, which was really relieving because that could have been very different. So after that, it didn't really make too much of a difference, and it never really became a us and them because the returnees really ran that game.
Yeah.
Awesome. One of the main things of your story is the cookie idol. So when you found it, what made you so confident that it was a real idol?
I think you find something on the beach in Samoa, in the game of Survivor that like if it doesn't something that's carved out with an official green emblem, like we'd seen idols, we'd seen we'd seen from the art department, like what they kind of look like. That's just not just not a fluke, I guess. And then like to see it, like we'd seen things previously that the things that like didn't have clues like directly associated with them. Like I think even in Brains versus Brawn, like George had that even the disc that he wrote on, like it was for like the that got put in the urn, like that didn't have a note like directly associated with it, like there. And just finding something, probably it was the way that it was found, like in being in the cookie jar. It's like they've done this, and the fact that it wasn't wrapped up, it was like, okay, I think that the fact that it's official, the fact that it's like in there to blend in with the cookies and stuff, it's like, what else would this be? And I feel like it was a really poor clue to like there just wasn't enough to guide you anywhere else, as opposed to it was like more likely not to be an idol, I guess. Like that was kind of where my head was at the time. And a couple of people asked, like, I was straight up with them, like, look, there's no paperwork, but like it's got to be, like, what else do you think it is? And like, yeah, it's got to be an idol, So we're all kind of in agreement on that with people who saw it. So yeah, I think probably how it was hidden. Maybe if it came in something that wasn't like it wasn't cookie shaped in the cookie jar, that might have been a little bit different there. But I thought it was just like, look, this kind of would need to be this way, so it's like doesn't easily get, so it just kind of fits in with the art of the scene, to make it, put a bit of shine on it, kind of thing.
But also, if you find that coconut with the emblem on it, you're going to open that up regardless of whether you found a little disc in the cookie jar. I don't know how it really was meant to help you find it.
I know, and you see those things, and you're like, look, not my decision. It's obviously a bit of a stretch, and just it made for a very entertaining storyline, but it was pretty frustrating at times looking back at it and being like, you wouldn't. There was nothing there that made it like, I need to look for this emblem, or because there was nothing else that had ever looked like that or anything. And if you see the coconut, you'd be like, well, if you ever find the coconut, would you be then looking for a cookie, like or an emblem like that? Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Well, speaking of entertaining moments on the show, the episode 7 tribal has become infamous. So walk us through your perspective on what happened at that tribal council.
Yeah, man, that was a real blur. Hey, like, that was from going to having this realization that I potentially could have been in trouble, or probably needed to play my idol, at some stage, and needed it there, or like, we could have done something for it. But then there was also like that was that was the first time that I won individual immunity. So that was like a big emotional response for me anyway. Like, that was a huge personal achievement to individually win a challenge. Because in Brains versus Brawn, I didn't get to individually compete in any challenges. So like that was just a really cool thing. It's like the first time I competed in an individual challenge, I won. And so that was really special. And then like watching it all kind of play out in front of me was, George was on fire. Like, he was just, he obviously knew exactly what he was doing. It was a couple of steps in front, because of the conversations that he was able to have and pull the girls across. And it got a bit. There were definitely a few low blows that were thrown around in there that didn't quite make the edit, but I knew that like I couldn't stoop to his level. I just needed to, we saw how George made Michael crack, and Michael just took the bait and just broke down, and I'm like, I can't take that. It's like I need to like stop and analyze like what's going on right now, and not just like be so reactive. And yeah, it was all pretty full on, like seeing it go down and then just trying to like wrap my head around what was actually happening. Because when you're in a position, and then like all these other things are happening, then all of a sudden you're being betrayed, and then you realize the depth of it, and like, oh, okay, so I'm not just being betrayed by Shonny and Liz, but it's like, but then Geordie, but who's been left out by Shonny and Liz, and then losing Stevie as well. Like, it was pretty incredible how much I lost there. And yeah, I was just very lucky that I had that, that necklace to save me. But yeah, it was just incredible watching it all go down.
Yeah, as a viewer, it was incredible to watch, but I mean, I'm sure it was frustrating for you. So
yeah.
I mean,
cool to be such a part of such a memorable, episode and memorable moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe that that it kind of ended up the way that it did. But yeah, look, I was able to. George was very well behaved in the first, first kind of 7, 8, 9 like days of the game. Like he was very well behaved. Like he was kind of buying his time. He was like really really had him eating out of the palm of my hand, and he hated it. He absolutely hated it. And when that kind of fueled him, I guess. Like when he took that opportunity, he absolutely ran with it. So yeah, I copped the full brunt of it, which was pretty funny.
I mean, that as well as being incredibly entertaining and one of the most iconic episodes of Survivor, it also got like a really like brutal and personal. George was really kind of coming at you. Like, how was your relationship with George after that? Because it did feel slightly past just game, and even Geordie kind of calls out like, this is getting a bit too much now.
Mm. Oh, look, when George is there, and when George is there, and he said to me that something that got cut out of the edit was that like he's like, you're not even a real fan of this show. Like, you can't even. He said you can't even name 3 winners of American Survivor, and I'm like, hang on a tick, like, don't tell me what my dreams are. Don't tell me what my relationship is with like something that I'm so passionate about. It's like, come after my gameplay, come after, you come for me as a player, but don't come for me personally. And that's where he crossed the line for me. Don't question, what this means to me, because I'm the only person who can define that, and I'm not here to take that away from you. So like that was really that kind of stuff was really low, and that was really hard not to like bite back about that kind of on that kind of level. And it would have been really interesting to see that, if that had made the edit, just how people's perception may have changed on George, if when you really see like how personally he was kind of coming at it for me, and but then the little niggles that I had at him were kind of shown. So I felt like that was kind of, it wasn't evenly portrayed with what was actually kind of going down there. But yeah, look, that was kind of hard to see. That I don't feel like that was evenly shown there. But we were definitely going, tit for tat. But I wasn't going to stoop to his level.
No. Not to keep running you down, but the next big moment for you is
I've been getting used to it for years.
is after the next big moment for you is after the swap, and you hand over the idol to Sean, but then your cookie idol crumbled in front of everybody when they told you it was fake. So how how did that affect you, and how did you see your game going from that point?
Well, I mean, like, I was actually really proud of what I turned that into because, like, essentially that was nothing, but that nothing ended up saving me, like, and getting me so much further, right? And so, like, people knew that I had it. People trusted me and wanted to work with me because of it. And the way that I was able to, because I was, if you put yourself in my shoes to be convinced that it's still an idol, for me to like give it up the way that I did and then pass it along to the other side and everything like that, like if you stop and think about it, it wasn't idle. Like I think it was actually pretty good approach to be like, what power can something like that actually give you? And what you can do with it as opposed to just hold and play it. So I was really proud of what I was able to concoct, the relationships I was able to make, and how far I was able to get throughout that game, with that hanging over me, and then for it to be nothing. But then at the same time, when it was nothing, it's like then it all kind of came crumbling down around me. But it meant that kind of coming into merge that I was in this really unique position where like I had nothing, and that was actually the best. And like, that's when I had to have a bit of a reset to be like, okay, right now, like I know I'm a huge physical threat in this game. I am, big personality out here. Like I can win challenges, but I don't have any relation. I don't have depth of relationships or whatever. And I'm definitely not the a leader or the alpha, which I've previously been perceived as before. So it's like I had this reset at kind of merge, and I'm like, right now I need to like make myself as small as possible. I need to really like push down my threat level to actually where I'm, so far down the pecking order that I'm not pecking at all. And that kind of really helped me reset to be and to have that zero threat level. I was able to, have the opportunity to come up with a new plan, be able to hang around for a few more days, win some challenges and get through, and just be like, look, not next, not next. So yeah, that managing and diminishing that threat level was like one of the best things for me. And I didn't think that it's not something you'd ever plan for, but the way I was able to play it once I was in that position, like worked so well to my advantage.
So you have one of the most kind of unique edits in Survivor history from the fix your face moment. We have this day is just the worst. And you seem to really take that in good spirits and embrace that. Like, what were you expecting your edit to be? And to the point they even left in when you got the Batman quote slightly wrong. It's like it felt like they were really doing you over, but you've embraced that.
Oh, that was so fucked. Excuse my French.
It really was.
Yeah, that was tough. Look overall, like you have that experience, and it is still so special. Like to actually be playing, and I'm like, regardless of how far down you get pushed and wherever you end up in the game, it's like you still have to make the most of. I'm still always going to turn up with a smile and make the most of it because, like, at the moment, like I'm still have the opportunity to live out my dream. And yes, I may not be in the position that I thought I'd ever be in, but like I'm still going to enjoy it. And if you're not having fun in that game, like why are you there? It's like you can't seriously as you can take it. Like you still have to enjoy it. With the edit, like I feel like I was probably more harshly done by at the start, where it's like I felt like there was the human side of me that was really left out, where it's like you see probably you saw the one side, like the a hard side of me, but you didn't see the softness that was. I felt like I was not even equally displaying because I felt like I overcompensated on my softness, throughout, in like with relationships and people to try to soften how hard and abrasive I kind of can be there to because I know it's a balancing act, the yin and the yang. So to have one side of me just not shown and just parts of conversations and my approaches and kind of conversations and like I felt like that was really harsh. But I I felt that I was kind of like, even speaking to the producer on the way through, that like my time was coming, like that would come. So it was like it was piled on at the start because there was a storyline there that was able to come around and put me in a kind of good light, I guess. To be able to keep smiling when I'm wading neck deep through shit. So it took a while for that to come through, and I'm glad that I was able to be left with a really positively lasting sentiment. Like overall, it would have been really hard to get kicked out. Like say we even went like pre-merge or halfway through that game, but then I got that edit on the way through, like the whole way. Like that would have been really hard. So I'm kind of glad that it was showcased at the end there, and that probably what you saw at the end was probably more what it was like throughout the entire game. But they're out there to create characters and create entertaining TV, and yeah, I guess I gave them enough of what they needed to there. But with that Batman quote, right? Like that was so tough. Because we like this is the only time that's going to happen. Like we actually like that transaction happened at night on the beach with the night producer. Where we were too close to the ocean and the audio file was corrupt or something like that. So it was like there was actually an issue with the audio. So we were actually asked if we could like just rehab that conversation in the daytime to do that there. And it's like that was the only time I've ever felt like and not an actor, but like, in a, because it was just left to our own devices and to do our own thing or whatever. But then to be refilming that conversation and then I just stumbled across that line. I'm like, oh, and it's like, guys, we're redoing this for you, and then you go ahead and you fucking leave it in there. It's like that was a real kick in the shins. Yeah, that was pretty tough to watch back.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you end up making it to the merge, and so you end up joining up with George and the Vigilantes. So when it gets to the Sam Webb vote, you want to work with the heroes, and you have this split vote plan that you're trying to sell to George so that you can flip over with the heroes. Kind of walk us through that and how like George ended up shifting the plan to Sam.
I just knew that there was always going to be um like it's like I just knew that it was always going to be safe to I was in a safe spot at the bottom of the alliance. Like I didn't I wasn't worried about that, but I just knew that like in terms of the numbers and overall like it was kind of time that I knew that for this game to actually get really shaken up and for George to disband his loyal soldiers with Matt and Jerry and stuff, that like he needed to go, otherwise like this game was going to go down a very kind of set path. And I just looking at it on paper, I'm like, I need to jump ship now whilst I've still got numbers, whilst there are still some idols in play. Otherwise, like if you don't seize that opportunity while you can, you'll die dreaming about it forever. So like I knew that I had to make that move at some stage. I knew it wasn't going to be pretty. I mean, I did everything that I thought I could and as best as I could to think I had people kind of confused and on side. But yeah, as I kind of saw that, I mean, George did as well. And he was obviously a step ahead. And yeah, I definitely made a few mistakes along the way there, and he picked up on it as well. He's just had a great read on that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
You had some rough patches during the game, as we've touched on. But one of the best moments is you winning the car. So when you won that, did that give you hope for the rest of your game, or did you feel like you were going to fall victim to the car curse?
Nah, I mean that was just like, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I came second in terms of like the prize outcome. Like, so it's like that made it all worthwhile. And I didn't really think about it too much. Like, I don't think it inhibited my position or anything there. Like, it was an amazing. amazing achievement, like amazing kind of thing to win there. But I think it might have only come into fruition maybe at the when you started getting to maybe the final tribal council have been like, hey, this guy's already won a car. But even then, it's like he's still trying to think about, like, I put myself in a position like, who deserves it the most, or who has the best jury management or whatever. So I wasn't actually too concerned because my position in the game was like I knew that I wasn't a threat at that point. It was just I was a physical threat, but not not a strategic or social threat with the numbers that I had around me there. So um, yeah, I don't feel like that affected too many things.
Okay.
So then we have the fire and the rain challenge where everyone's kind of gunning for you and you beat the odds. Kind of how did it feel when you managed to keep yourself going there?
Which one was that? Sorry, the fire.
That's the one where you're filling the water bucket, but you're also
Oh, the
still trying
buckets.
to,
Yeah. That was that was probably that was probably my favorite victory in that one because when Liz had doubled back and you know started helping Matt, and Matt was actually ahead of me there, like that was I've just really had to just give it everything, and I just put my foot down and just went for it, and to overcome that was just, I think it was a real test of my resilience and determination, and to show my pride to be like, I can overcome these. I can, I can beat the odds. I can beat two people versus one. Like I am, I can prove myself here, and I can, when push comes to shove, I'm ready to shove. So that was like a really special moment, just because it was just another time that I was next. Everyone was going for me, and I just needed to win. Um, really cool. Probably one of my favorite challenges and favorite memories there. And there's always a few little I was like Matt got his fire going like really quickly, so he was up and running, and I had a lot of catch up to do. But it's just like the little things that just in terms of experience, like I knew that when the seesaw goes the other way and the water comes down, that's when a lot of people's fire falls over. And if you don't have that in the right spot, then that you can kind of lose it all there. Sure enough, Maddie's fire came down super fast, and it kind of spilt over, and that was my opportunity to catch up. And then I was able to just keep an eye on it and give it a slight guide down with a cheeky little elbow there, which has helped it soften to And I'm like, I'm going to take every little opportunity I can when I'm behind the eight ball and people are ganging up on me. Like you just have to take every inch you can to get there. So I was just really proud of how I was able to hack the situation and make the most of it to win that and save myself and get another day in the game.
You mentioned Aussie at the beginning, so you got to have your big challenge beast moment there. So it all came full circle.
I saw one of the stats. I think Aussie's got I think it was from Survivor Fact Checker or something, that kind of ran the best overall win percentages in solo challenges. And I think Aussie is the all-time best performance with a 70, no sorry, a 94% win ratio. And I think I was the highest or the second highest Australian with the win ratio in solo challenges at 87% or something there. So I was, I'm really proud to have that under my or against my name, and 3 or 4 individual challenge wins, 4 individual immunity necklaces, and then a bunch of reward challenges as well. That was pretty cool. So I think that's something I'm really passionate and really proud of, but something that that's just for me, you're really happy with that. Because I just love doing that, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's certainly something to hang your hat on. So at the final 6, you have the domino challenge. This is your final round of the game. When you lost that domino challenge by seconds, did you know your game was snuffed at that point?
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Good timing, Matt.
Great timing. Thanks, Matty. Um, oh, that was yeah. Just on that Dominic, because there was four people in that one. Um, that was really tough. I had look at the um we picked rocks for whatever track we were on, kind of thing. But we had as the mechanism was like twisting around, I had three dominoes in the same spot that fell down like three times each, and I couldn't work out like what the go was. And when I when I finally came back to look at it, like my track hadn't because it was like a thin track about that big, and then the dominoes were that big, so it was like around in a circle, but they were also like stacked on top of the track there. Um, my track wasn't sanded properly, like there were bumps in it from where the paint had like almost kind of bubbled and stuff, and was like bumpy. And like, you can't blame it like anything on that. But I'm like, it was just so unlucky that I was. It didn't look like it, but I was ahead there. I just had to go back to that one spot three times and couldn't work out why they kept falling down. I'm like, look, it is what it is. My dominoes need to be in this patch anyway to like get them all the way back around. And yeah, look, it was really hard to lose that one going to tribal. I knew that Jerry, Matt, Jerry and Matt particularly like weren't moving, and that's when I'm like, look, these guys like, there's no getting through to them. Like I've tried so hard for so long to just to wake them up to what the threat that George was, and what that was all kind of looking like and stuff. And look, they had their own games going on. Ultimately, it didn't work out for them, but like I had to do everything I could in my position to get some kind of movement. And when they were just like, I mean, Jerry wasn't even interested. Matt was like, oh yeah, like, but his plan was to kind of go for as long as he could, and then just beat George at the last challenge kind of thing. It's like I get why there was no appetite to move. So I definitely came out like pretty aggressive to like really, I just didn't want to leave any stone unturned. So then obviously kind of had that conversation where it's like I'm calling them all pawns to their faces and stuff like that, and like, so that was always pretty funny because it was like it was, I really felt like I had even the audience and everyone on my side being like, you guys, you can't see this, like you will look back and you will see it, but right now you guys can't. And it was like night and day to me. So I'm like, I've just got to do everything I can to get some kind of movement. And if it doesn't work, which is probably not going to, then yeah, at least I can say I tried everything I could. So I was a little bit disheartened when that happened. When I lost that one, it was pretty crap because I think that like yeah, I'd made it through the last one, but it ended up being like the non-elimination. So it's like I'd made it through there, and like Nina obviously went to, like I'd done enough to like spook George and get Nina and ended up being Jerry into the isolation pen. So it's like great. I've actually like I've made it through. I've survived again, and then we find out it's the non-elim. So then it's like, oh, so now I've got to try to like dodge this again. So that was kind of like a little bit disheartening. But you can't always plan. Those non-elims are always going to be there, and they always happen. It's just part of the game, unfortunately. But it was just like, oh, to fall the victim of it the second time around. Yeah, that was just unlucky. So yeah, my time was up.
You mentioned at the beginning how important it was that you make the jury. So my final question is, when the jury twist comes in and they're going to remove a juror, I imagine your heart sank. Did you feel it was going to be you? And when then you stay on the jury, how was it going into the final tribal and your decision to vote for Liz?
I I to be honest, like the fact that like yes, I wanted to be there at the end, but when I was on the jury and I was there, like I was kind of at peace with everything, And I'm like, look, it would kind of suck if I wasn't there all the way at the end, but it's like my game is done. It's like I can't go back there and win. Like yes, I wouldn't get to vote for the final person, but it's like I can't. like my torch has been snuffed. It's like I kind of felt like I had, and I'd been on the jury. I got to decompress with everyone there. I'd had that, so we're obviously building up to this, this final moment. But if I had got kicked out, would have been disappointed. But like it wouldn't have killed me, I guess. And then and what was the second part? How did I feel?
And just was Liz always going to be your winner there? Did you have any consideration for Jerry or Matt, or was it obvious for you?
It was never going to be Jerry. Pretty straightforward. Matt, yeah. Matt had a pitch. I still believe that Matt had a pitch. He missed the mark at the time. And I think he probably still, yeah, he knows he did as well, which is pretty tough. He just didn't take the right approach. I felt like he had a story, I felt like he had a pitch. And so then, and I was definitely, team Liz by the time I was there because of, what she had overcome at the time. So like that was kind of a no-brainer. And like, yeah, Liz and I had we had our time, our conflicts out there. And, I think she had it in for me more than I had it in for her, watching it back which was pretty funny to see. But like at the end of the day, when she was there, like, I didn't have it wasn't difficult to write her name down in the slightest. Yeah, she played well. And, I was, proud of, what she achieved regardless of what our personal relationship was like at the time and how much, she disliked me, at that kind of point there. So I think that, would have been interesting to see if, George had been there, like what way that would have gone and who he would have gone up against and stuff. Because I think that regardless of, the amount of times that you hear George say, "Oh, it was just a bit of jury. It was just a bit of jury." Like it's all about jury management. It's such a huge part of it. So, that would have been a tough one trying to decide whether he would have actually deserved it. Because he may be the king, he may be the greatest Australian player of all time, but he's still got a bit of work to do.
My favorite question to ask survivors is this: when you think back to your time on Survivor, and you close your eyes, what do you see?
Probably it is probably that moment of like when I did win that fire challenge with the water, tipping that in there. I think that was just the epitome of it's probably those challenge wins. I think just like that one, and then winning the car, winning that first one at that episode 7, that pop-up challenge, like just like those moments where it's just you versus everyone else, you against you, like you're trying to bring the best version of yourself, and it's like like just when you're in your own lane and no one else is, you have to like, because there's so much going on with like other people and you're so reactive in a game like Survivor. Sometimes it's nice just to have a moment to yourself where you're just doing your own thing. You can block out the noise and just go ahead and do it. So I loved that moment. And then I think just like when I close my eyes, just like that, the beach as well, like the waking up in the shitty conditions, from a cold night's sleep, and you just wake up and you just see it's like the Samoan sunrise, like the ocean right there and stuff. Like that's really cool. I almost felt like I missed out on doing the Outback. Sorry, with the Outback, I felt like I missed out on the true Survivor experience with like not being on a beach. And so that kind of helped complete my journey as well. Because I definitely, when I close my eyes, I definitely see heroes versus villains, not Reigns v Brawn. I definitely see like, yes, Samoa, not Outback, even though that's where it all started. But I felt like that's kind of where my journey really peaked.
For sure. Well, this has been great, Simon. So before we sign off, is there anything you want to promote?
Oh, look, yeah, the Blackouts is still going there. It's going strong. So thanks, Maddie, for getting around it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, anyone who's who's listening is obviously a huge fan of Survivor. Probably Australian and US. So I just love like to say yeah, thanks to everyone for getting around it. Like it's been awesome having to be part of a community of passionate people. Like I was always a big fan of the show.
Mhm.
But I didn't realize like the depth of the online communities and the subreddits and and everything there. Like that's been such a nice, I don't know, like you just be welcomed into that. So yeah, just thank you for for following along with my journey and being part of this awesome little community. And it's awesome to see like some of the the players you kind of have on, and yeah, it's nice to have your story still told, even though you're not really relevant anymore. So yeah, appreciate the time.
Yeah, it's been great to have you on, Simon. So thank you so much for being on. You're the second survivor to be on the podcast after Harry. So
Yeah, Dirty Harry. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and yeah, thanks to like Maddie. You've obviously been really supportive and done some great work for for raising money for charity. Through Survivor. And by interviewing a bunch of us. So yeah, appreciate that. Always glad for this to be going towards to a good cause.
absolutely. So with that, we are gonna sign off, and we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.